So as I'm sure most everyone listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, is aware, last week, Rachel, what are we referring to her as?
I feel like Rachel has just been what I've been saying for so long. And
okay, so Rachel, whatever. She gave her first interview since March on Bethenny Frankel's podcast. I know you're obviously aware of it. You've been tagged and shit. I'm sure you've seen various clips on your For You page, unfortunately, on TikTok.
Like swipe. Don't give me more of this algorithm.
Right. Yeah. So have you listened to or seen any of it?
I've read recaps.
Okay.
But I haven't, listen, podcasts are long. And
right.
That one was 3 parts. That's a lot of time to take to, so I did not listen, but I did read, synopses.
Yeah. How has this interview made you feel? I know you've been very open about your mental health in the past. Has this had any impact on it with just the lies that we know are still being said?
Yeah, it has impacted it. I have to say that, I don't think that there's anything wrong with or anything bad about Rachel going on anything to do any interview,
right?
As she should. She was going to at some point, and it, makes sense. But some of the things that were said made me really sad, made me angry, and then I understand that with Rachel, I feel like she's still going along with some things that were told to her over the last year or so from the other party in said affair. And I think that made me really sad. And then I always kind of feel like, I can kind of understand why she put a lot of weight onto what was being told to her. So part of me is like, okay, I get why maybe even though you should know better at this point that those things are not true. Okay, you're choosing to believe him. But then Bethenny is who I feel like should have known better and who actually I think upset me more in the things that were said, because even I guess as recently as whatever podcast she did after the fact, she said, oh, Ariana's forgiven him. I'm like, why are you speaking for me? First of all, I don't know you.
Yeah.
And you don't know what the fuck you're talking about,
yeah,
lady. So there were a lot of things that were said by her that actually I think made me more angry, because I feel like she should know better.
She also said she hadn't even watched the show before until all of this. And then she watched the reunion where everyone was obviously coming so hard at Raquel. Because
at both of them.
Both of them, yes. Yeah. But Raquel was the one being interviewed, Rachel.
Sure, yes.
But it's like, let's not forget that this reunion was 3 weeks after everyone found out all of this. She has a restraining order against me. And there's all of these things. So what do you want to say to people who say, that you went too hard on them at the reunion?
I would say that I believe that my response to what was done to me in that moment was exactly what I would think any person would respond with in that moment. Hearing Bethenny say something about like, if that was my child, I would have murdered someone, based on like some words that were said in response to what I endured for 7 months and had just found out about. Well, I'd like to say that I have a mother who feels pretty strongly about what was done to me for 7 months behind my back.
Yeah.
And she certainly doesn't think that me responding to all of that with some harsh and warranted words is the worst thing that could happen.
Right.
If I sat down and had a conversation with her today, would I say the same things? Probably not.
Right.
But I was only going to speak to her that one time and never again.
Yeah, totally. It's like, I can understand, for Bethenny to, clearly not have done enough research. She has this girl on who she wants to defend and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, we did this for years.
Yes,
we
that's
were
very true.
that person for her. So it's like, okay, not going to fault Bethenny for wanting to defend her. You know, we were
of course. We did
so
that.
loyal to her. We like the fact that she said you were no more than an acquaintance, an alliance, a coworker.
That was very hurtful.
That she was using you to get closer to Tom.
Yeah. That was very hurtful. Because I wasn't using her for shit. I just thought that we were friends.
Literally. What do you have to say? And obviously, I know the answers to all of these questions, but for the listeners, what do you have to say to her comment that she said, you know, you guys never hung out outside of the show, outside of obligations?
I would say that that's a very obvious.
That's bullshit.
That was a very obvious lie.
Yeah.
Or at least a very obvious. When I think of someone lying, I think of they're doing it on purpose. I don't know if she's doing it on purpose or if she really understands that that statement right there could be so easily refuted with photographic evidence.
Yeah.
You know, up in the Saturday night before the Wednesday night that I found this out was an example of her and I hanging out off camera at Avalon.
I saw that video, and I remember during that time I was already skeptical of her. I had already been questioning her, and I sent that video to Jenny Ting, and I was like, what is happening here? Like, what is this? Like, they're not filming. There's no requirement to hang out. There is no call time. And she's like dancing on you at whatever club you guys were at or festival. That was your friend.
Yes. And if she feels otherwise, that sucks because it feels like I was very much under the impression that we were like really good friends.
Yeah.
And I didn't come to that impression lightly. It takes a lot for me sometimes to like really let people into what I consider, when I say inner circle, I mean like people we go on trips with, people who I make sure had a place to stay for Coachella and things like that, inviting people to music festivals, you know, that's like Thanksgiving. And if all of that was fake to her, that just really sucks for me because it wasn't fake to me.
There was even a time where Brock's family came in from Australia and I needed the apartment, which she couldn't even have toilet paper stocked for. That's a whole other side topic. But I'm like, oh my gosh. But she stayed with you guys because she's like, I don't have any other friends I can stay with. I'm just going to call Ariana and see if I can stay with her. You were her next person. If it wasn't you, it was me. If it wasn't me, it was you. So for her to say this, you know, alliance, like, I'm sorry, it's Vanderpump Rules. It's not Big Brother. Okay. We're not doing alliances. We have genuine friendships. And that is the best part about our show. And that's what makes things like this even harder. You know, there was a 15-year friendship I had with this person who did this to you. And it's like,
it's very, I think, I'm not sure whose decision it was to try to diminish the friendships and try to diminish what is a very real show.
Yeah.
I don't know whose decision it was to do that, but it was a bad decision and it was a very untrue statement or series of statements to make. I know Bethenny did that as well, you know, saying that this is like a producer thing or things like that. And all that does is diminish what I went through and still living through it, and what you went through and all these things that were very and are very real.
Yeah.
And I don't know if diminishing those things is a way to distance from like how hurtful it was, or to make people think that it's not that big of a deal. So like, you know, fuck Ariana and Scheana. Like, who gives a fuck if they're, you know, or like, oh, look, here's a picture of Scheana and Ariana looking happy on Instagram. They must have never cared about any of this. You know what I mean? And it's just very like, I just think it's a bad move. And that again goes back to someone who I would think knows better. And that's Bethenny. So
I think it was clear in this interview that Rachel was attempting to change the narrative. She slept with her best friend's man, you know, when it's like, you can see clips of her last season saying, Ariana is my best friend in this group. You can see a clip of her with me on the Chicks in the Office podcast where I even want to insert that audio here where she says, Scheana and Ariana, are, like, I know who my true friends are in this group. So you're just lying then?
Well, that's the thing is I don't know at this point when these things, was it a lie and when was it the truth? Because I feel like, you know, was she lying then or is she lying now? Not lying now, but is she like convincing herself of something else now? I don't know. It's just sad.
And it is really hurtful because I did see this girl, we both did, like a little sister, like more than just a coworker, co-star, friend from Sir. I mean,
if I thought someone was just a coworker, co-star, they would not be coming and staying in my Coachella house.
Yeah.
They would not be going to dinner with like me, you, and Janet. I would not be doing matching Halloween costumes for Brad's birthday. Right. I wouldn't be doing any of those things with someone that's just like an coworker, acquaintance.
No.
That's just not like, that's just not how it is for me. And it just very, I don't know. It's very sad. I just keep saying it's sad because to me, it is just very sad.